Hello friends, this is Scott, and I was able to time the storms this week and get out of the hobby farm before the big snowstorm hit Salt Lake City. And we got quite a bit down here also, but I was able to sneak down here for a few days and a few nights and get some work done. But this is still how much snow we have down here at the hobby farm. I could either have two choices. I could either do an extreme spring pea planting video, or I could go back inside and work on more flooring. So it wasn't a very tough decision today to decide. So it's going to be another few days of flooring. And there's the rest of the flooring that I brought down in a separate trip last week. I ran it down, or the week before, I can't remember. Time is flying. We did come down for Valentine's Day for one afternoon and evening, and my wife and I did a little bit of cleanup, and we did get a little bit more flooring done. So this is a little bit more progress than the last time I showed any of the flooring. We got into and as I turn the corner here, we got into the hallway to the right a little bit. Yeah, I just wanted to see kind of how that was going to go. And I got into the spare bedroom and got quite a bit of that done, but still not done. But that's what I need to start with. I need to finish this room. And as we go into the master, I need to work from finish to the wall by the bathroom there. And I need to leave an expansion joint there for a trim piece. But I need to also get in this closet. And all this stuff's got to line up because this closet and the closet to the spare bedroom are all interconnected. They had taken a wall out. So the challenge I have now is, can I get all this stuff to line up and click together so that when I enter through the back of the closets there, that it'll all line up and I won't have any weird places. I got to put transitions. But this is the place I'm most concerned about, is I got some good angles there to figure out. And I got to go to the back garage door as well as into the cat room. But overall, it looked pretty good as I started the trip down here, and that's how much flooring I have. So I think I got plenty. I think I'm probably going to have maybe 8 to 10 cases extra, but that depends on how many screw-ups I have as I'm laying this floor. So here we are, and that's where I was finishing into the master bedroom, and then that's the transition piece I cut, leaving a little bit of a gap for trim. And as we walk in, I lined up into the closet, so we're looking pretty good there. So we're ready to see if we can get all this done and get it all lined up. And I'm just testing things out here to see how things are going to go. But it looks like this is actually where the two closets meet, and it looks like I have a perfect line there. So everything's going to click in, and I got to put one little piece as a transition, or not one little piece to finish that part off. So I'm right on track. Everything's lined up, and again, because I used I really appreciate the guy giving me the advice on screwing in the blocks to start my first row in the front room as well as in the bedroom, because that's the godsend. Because I had a solid base, everything has been lining up. Again, no chalk lines I've needed to run. I've measured a little bit here and there just to make sure I'm on track, but it's all lined up. This house is basically a rectangle, but it was very critical that you get your first rows with a solid base so you could click them in. But here's the master closet, and it looks pretty good. And again, there's a few cuts, a few angles I got to do, but nothing too drastic. I did use a little reciprocating saw, to get up underneath the door frames and cut underneath so I could slide the wood underneath. And so it looks clean. And here's how it looked, almost done. Just a couple more rows. And here it is. Getting down to the nitty-gritty, and still have my expansion joints along the edges. And I have one. This is the last piece I got to put in here. Now, sometimes you got to notch out little areas in the drywall just to be able to get your little hammer tool in there, and it doesn't hurt anything because the trim will cover up everything as long as the cuts are below the height of where the trim will be. But here it is. Looks pretty sharp. I really like the choice we made of flooring. It looks really nice. The colors, I like the pattern. It's going to look really nice when it's all trimmed in white trim, and we're going to have black doorknobs and those types of accessories. So in black or wood, we'll have wood vent covers. I haven't picked those out yet, but I think it all turned out pretty nice. And there's a good close look at the last cut there. So that was nice, because this room was critical to get done, because I got to move all the master bedroom furniture, or at least some of the bed anyway, into here so that I can finish the master bedroom. But so I'm glad I got this done, and it all turned out nice, and I think the wife's going to be pleased with me. I still have to pull a couple spacers. I got some that are a little too tight. I'm going to have to cut them out probably, but there's still a little bit of gaps. But for a DIY project, clickable flooring is definitely something that anybody could do, as long as you do a little bit of research and And then as you get a little practice, you may not be able to explain it very well to other people as you're doing it. You may have to make some mistakes and redo things, but in the end, it can be done. And right now, I feel very confident that I'm not going to screw anything up that's going to make it so that this flooring is not going to work. But I still have the kitchen and the cabinets and all the appliances I've got to move and get up underneath. And I've got to unhook gas lines and water lines and drain lines. And so I'm a little bit nervous about that. I'm kind of debating on whether I'm going to invite my plumbing buddy down to help me or if I'm just going to, I've done so well so far. I think it'd be good for me just to try to go for it. So I'm going to do my best to try to do it myself. It'll give me a lot more satisfaction if I can finish this project without too much assistance. But the main hall is done, and it looks good. And this is going to go into the last day. I've got one more full day of work to do. And the first step is I've got to move the bed from the master into there. And then I got to remove these. These are the most important thing. These are the godsend. These are the starter boards that I clicked up against. So all the pressure was put against them, kept everything lined up. But now there's enough weight of the flooring on the other side, I can remove those. Now, the one thing you can't do is if I was to measure it all out and start from the closet, work my way forward, it would be great, except I'd have one problem. When I got to the point where the two floors meet and there's one row, I don't think you can click both ways. So I clicked backwards to get to the back closet, get that done. That's the one mistake I'd made I'd fix. See the chip part area? That won't matter because it'll all be covered in trim. But I clicked backwards, instead of, it's people say, oh, you can't click backwards. Well, to me, it was just as easy as clicking forwards. I didn't have any issues with it. The floor clicked together good and went together well. You do have to do things kind of opposites in your mind. It's a little too hard to complicated to explain it, but you got to be careful which way you're pounding the boards together, because if you're not consistent, it'll start spreading the floor in rows you've already done. So you do have to watch that. But overall, it went together just fine going backwards, and it got me into the closet. And I just have a few cuts, little notch cuts I got to do underneath those little, kind of areas that stick out a little bit before it goes into the closet. And here's the last day. I was there to last full day, and this is what I had left of the master to finish, and that's where I started. And look, there's the first cut to get into the closet around that little bit of a stick out. And the previous owner had a bunch of carpet that he just basically put the floor on top of carpet, so there's still a little carpet there, but it'll all be tucked into trim and everything. Won't even see it. So here's after I got through the threshold of the master closet, the little closet. And it's easy. Piece of cake. It's just a rectangle. And you just got to cut them, make sure you're not lining up seams. And then, you cut the back row. So it's, that's where if you're going to have any narrower rows, it's always going to be the last row, the way you do this. So, and it was a pretty full row. I think I just had to trim just a little bit off that one. So I think I maybe cut less than 1/4 of an inch off. And that's the last piece. And I just had to cut that one in, and the whole master's done, and there we go. So it looks pretty good, and I'm pretty pleased with the progress at this point. And again, got a full day to work today, and my knees are a little sore. I've been down here for a few days, so hopefully I can get a lot more done the last day. But I think I'm going to get into some more intricate cuts that are going to be a little bit more, take a little longer, and probably a lot more mistakes are going to be made. But overall, I think that I'm feeling really confident, having worked backwards and being successful with it, that it all is going to work. And it all looks tight. Nothing's ever perfect. You always find a little space where maybe you didn't click two boards in as tight as you could have, or they moved. So here's a little closet, a little hall closet, and I just have to work into there. I still have one block screwed in there that I got to remove and start working backwards. I'm going to work backwards again here, all the way up into the washer and dryer. And that's going to be interesting. And then I'm not going to do beyond the glass door right now. I'm going to wait on that. The previous owner still has to move some property, so I'll do that later once they're gone and do the stairs. But my goal is to get into the cat room. The old cat room which will be my office and a spare bedroom. And that's what I want to try to get to today. I don't know if I'll make it or not, but we'll see. We'll see how close I get. And then the next time down, I should be able to, depends on how the cuts are. I should be able to wrap up this as well as the dining area, and then maybe the kitchen will all be one day just to move appliances and do all that fun stuff. But here's the toughest angles that I had to do. And here's, well, we're going to start with the closet. And here's just the notch piece that I cut out. And I did cut out with the saw just a level, so just enough so that flooring can tuck underneath the door frame. And so it's nice and clean. You don't need any transition if you do that in doorways, because there's really no place to put transition because the door wouldn't shut. So there it looks installed. And then the rest of it's just a piece of cake, just a rectangle, square, whatever you want to call it. And it looks good. So that was a quick little project. So now I'm into the hallway going to the cat room next. And here's the toughest part. This angle here, once I figured out what the angle was, then every piece I could cut the same, so it wasn't a big deal. But it looks good. And use one of those tools you see on TV all the time that advertises the shapes. And so this cut, it took me several attempts. So I would make a little bit of progress. So the first thing I learned was this part of it. But then if you have anything that goes into the next room, you can't make cuts like that. You can't cut off the clickable part, or you can't do into the next room. So here's the final cut. And it took several attempts to do this and several variations and a little bit of wasted wood. But I successfully made it into the cat room. So I'm feeling pretty confident there that I'm going to be okay. There's one little rectangle piece I'm going to have to glue in there. There's no way to click it in. It's just an extra little piece. But I was able to get in there. So we're looking pretty good. But so here's how it looks as I'm going to be leaving. This is the last morning. I'm just checking out my progress. Getting ready to head back to Salt Lake County and see how much snow we got from the storm. The wife says 2 feet, so we'll see how well they shoveled and what I have to do when I get home. But it looks good. It's getting closer, getting to the point where we'll be able to get some trim up, and we'll be able to, move in and bring some furniture and start figuring out, what furniture we're going to bring from our house, what we need to buy, and then we can figure that out too. So it'll be nice to have some, get rid of some junk up there and bring it down here. So it'll be good. But it looks nice. And again, I had to move stuff back into the closet just so I have space to work. So didn't get a good look at the flooring today, but it looks pretty good with the bed in there. And as I look down the hall, this is where I'm headed. And closet did good. Still have that little attempted cat door. I got to repair that too, but I'll get to that whenever. But I'm looking good. I'm going down the hall, and I'm into the cat room. And again, I'm going to stop at that glass door for now, and then I'll do more research on how to do stairs and all that kind of stuff. So, but it looks like we're marching forth, and I think I have a plan for the kitchen dining. And the more I think about it, I think I can do it on my own. I'm going to give it a good a good college try, and if I need help, I got a good buddy that'll help me out, I'm sure. So, well, I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I highly recommend that if you have a flooring that you want to do yourself, it's expensive as it is. The material is not cheap, but if you were to pay somebody to do this, you'd double your price probably. So it's definitely worth learning how to do it, and it's not rocket science. It really isn't. You just have to make sure that you start out the right way. And if you start out the right way and you did your initial measurements when you first set your boards, that you screw in the ground, you can do it. And you can work both ways. You can work the normal way from left to right, or you can work backwards and click the female end into the male end versus the male end into the female end like it normally is. So a little bit of trim, covering up all the edges. Again, anything that's a ½ inch or less will be covered up with trim. So and you want an expansion joint. So you don't want the wood right up against the wall. That would be a bad thing. If the floor flexed, it would just buckle, and you don't want that. So it'll all come together, and again, I feel really confident that the kitchen's going to be a challenge, but I don't think there's anything that I'm going to not be able to handle. If I have water leaking, that's my concern, or the gas leaks after I disconnect it and connect it. But I guess gas smells, so I'll know whether it's leaking, and I'll definitely know if I have any water leaking, because that'll be a no-brainer. I don't want this floor wet. It is a water-resistant laminate, but water-resistant is not waterproof, so you don't want to have to rip up flooring you just put in. But if the worst case happened and I had an accident or the fridge broke, I know how to fix this. It wouldn't be pleasant, but I know how to do it now. And I'm learning about angles. And again, it takes multiple attempts, and some of these cuts are pretty intricate, but you screw up, you learn a little bit, you do the next cut, you screw up, you learn a little bit more, and pretty soon you have a good one. But as I left, this is the snow. It's snowing again, and that's how much snow is still at the hobby farm with the big storms coming this week. And I've got to head home, and I've got to kind of survey the damage there and see how good the wife and son shoveled, and see how much what my first priority will be as I get back home. But it's a good bit of snow, and again, we're going to be months from gardening probably. You know, it's at my house in Salt Lake County. Last week I could have planted peas. There wasn't any snow on the ground, but now there's a couple feet up there, so I can't. Gardening is not going to happen at least until that melts off. But I predict I'll be planting it at my home garden in Salt Lake way before I ever get anything planted down here. But I am itching to get back outside. That's what I bought this place for, is to be outside and enjoy it. And working inside, doing all these home improvement projects is not my favorite thing to do. But when I get frustrated, I quit. So here's coming home, and this is the amount of snow that we got while I was gone. And the wife and the son did what I call it a BM job, which you can figure out what that acronym means. But I call it bare minimum just to be nice. But they had to do what they had to do just to get to school and get to work, and it's my job to take care of the rest of this when I get home. And this part here is where I need to move so I can park the truck. So this is the first thing. It took about an hour and a half. But that's a good representation of how much snow we had. And I had taken the big broom down to the hobby farm, so I can't blame them for not getting the snow off the car, because they didn't have a good way to do it. But this is what I got to move. And it took an hour and a half, and I didn't do a great job. I was in a little bit of a hurry, and I was kind of hungry, but got enough to get the old car in. And so we're back in business and got a busy week. We got real estate to do, and I got to get this video out, and I'm going to do a little substitute teaching this week. And I've got a closing, and I've got another open house this weekend. So we've got a lot to do, and with the grandkid on the way at any time, that's going to be a fun time for us. So thanks for watching this video. And if you like what you see and want to continue to follow me on my journey and living my best rural life in the city, as well as now in the country at the hobby farm and at the school garden, please hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment, as I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.